buzz and was immediately called far-fetched and unrealistic by many. The math used for the same was relatively sound, but it still posed a wide variety of problems. The amount of energy that would be required for something like this to even be possible, at least for now, doesn't exist. Fast forward to the year 2012, when Dr. White, who was then working for NASA, published his own paper with suggested changes to the original math and shape of the craft by Alcubierre, which brought the energy required much lower. The development of an actual warp bubble of warp drive has since only been mentioned through the years, but with no more important contributions. When Alcubierre first put in his original paper, there was something fundamental that hadn't yet been realized. The fact that the default amount of energy in space isn't just zero, but rather some positive non-zero finite value. Keeping in mind that there is a finite amount of energy to the very fabric of space itself, it's important to note the famous calculation that was made way back in 1940. Back in the early days of quantum field theory, Hendrik Casimir made a very valuable contribution, the Casimir effect as we call it, that has rather remarkable implications. Electromagnetic fields exist everywhere in space and they cannot be removed, but he envisioned two parallel conducting plates, for example, as a result of which the energy inherent to the space outside the plates would be slightly greater than the energy inside, causing them to attract. This is significant because it does tie in with the fact that though this effect is not the same as a warp bubble, in principle it could be used to warp space in the negative fashion that would be needed to create one. Now in 2021, Dr. White and a team of researchers are conducting research funded by DARPA on objects called Casimir cavities, stemming from that very same Casimir effect. As a part of the research, the team uses micron cake electrical conductors in a variety of shapes, including pillars, spheres, plates, and other such cavities, to generate electrical potentials of a couple hundred microvolts, which turned out to be exactly what previous experiments and many theorists' AI predictions indicated. The Casimir effect refers to the attractive force of a fluctuating magnetic field that tends to pull two objects like plates and mirrors, as used in experiments, together when inside a vacuum. It was at the time of studying and carrying out experimental research that Dr. White and his colleagues actually made a surprising discovery in a custom Casimir cavity. They noticed in their calculations something that looked suspiciously like a warp bubble. He and his team released a paper in July 2021 about what they are calling the possible structure of the energy density present in a Casimir cavity. They accidentally created a microscopic experiment all while researching how energy is distributed around wavelengths. The experiment resulted in enough theoretical energy to achieve warp speed, just like the concept that was theorized by physicist Miguel Alcubierre. The main reason his entire findings were downplayed was due to the mathematical drawbacks and the amount of energy that was needed. But the latest DARPA-funded research released by Dr. White and his team actually indicates that the energy requirements are far lesser than previously believed. This, of course, is great news, and if they are proven right, then White's team has possibly discovered the first warp bubble. And all this without even meaning to do so. In his own words, Dr. White says, "To my knowledge, this is the first paper in the peer-reviewed literature that proposes a real sizable nanostructure that is predicted to manifest a real, albeit humble, warp bubble." He cautioned that this doesn't necessarily mean we are near building a fully functioning warp drive, but the detailed numerical analysis of the Casimir cavities helped the team identify a very real and manufacturable nanostructure that is predicted to generate a negative vacuum energy density that it would manifest a real nanoscale warp bubble. Not just in theory, but the real thing. The finding not only confirms the predicted toroidal structure and negative energy aspects of a warp bubble, but has also given rise to pathways that he and other researchers can now use to follow and design, and perhaps one day, even construct a real-world spaceship that will warp through time. To further evaluate the groundbreaking discovery, the team has even come up with a proposed design for a testable nanoscale warp drive craft in the future. One thing's for sure, when Dr. White began his research project under DARPA, the last thing he expected was to stumble upon such a historical finding, especially when it ties in so closely with everything he has ever believed and the big claims he made in his warp drive proposal. Whether by pure coincidence or personal destiny, he and his team seemed to be at the right place at the right time, and if proven, it might change the future of space travel forever. The million-dollar question, though, is this a real warp bubble? The simple answer is that it sure has the potential to be if it is experimentally validated. And as always, not everyone seems entirely convinced by the idea, seeing as no experiments or evidence can be shown for the same, and what lies in theory may not actually be possible in real life. Also, many are considering the fact that the findings come from the team led by Dr. White, who is famous for his big, bold claims, which some say have yet to amount to anything. On the other hand, some strongly agree that this new discovery is potentially groundbreaking, and with more in-depth study and experiments, it could bring us closer to actually beating the speed of light. While it's easy to jump to conclusions and get excited, Dr. White himself reminds us not to get ahead of ourselves. Science is a slow and arduous process. Testing and experiments will need to be carried out before any further plans can be made. In his own words, he rightly states that though dreaming is important, he personally emphasizes the importance of doing in-depth research and finding new and additional applications that are practical. Dr. White and his team plan on conducting many more experiments in smaller models to better understand the opportunities of a prospective warp drive. But as of now, they are said to be laser-focused on the research around the Casimir cavities. So while some are already asking when we will be seeing scientists make something like this actually fly, Dr. White's motto remains the same: crawl, walk, run. In short, baby steps. Only time will tell what this serendipitous discovery might mean for the future. But for the time being, we know that it's a monumental step in the right direction. What are your thoughts on the discovery? And do you think we will ever achieve faster than light travel? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.